Can you hear me? As you can see by the title and thumbnail, today's video is not going to be what I usually do. I act as I've been on YouTube for like years. I've been here for like 2 days. We're going to be doing a mukbang, specifically a wingstop mukbang, plus talk about heated rivalry because that show has literally infiltrated every fiber of my body, and it's the only thing that I can think about, that I see, that I hear, that I smell, that I feel in the past month. And my 2 closest girlfriends have not watched it, and I need some sort of outlet. I literally cannot hold it in anymore, and so why not just pick up the camera and talk to you guys about it, because I'm betting my ass that there's a bunch of you guys who also are in the same boat as me. So without further ado, actually, before the ado, my Wingstop order. I know some of y'all are gonna have a bone to pick with this. No pun intended. I like boneless wings, so yeah, y'all can go pick a bone. I got 6 pieces of original hot, 4 pieces of the hot honey rub, 5 Cajun corn pieces, light seasoning, and then I chopped up a bunch of carrots, and of course the tub of ranch. Oh my god! Okay, I also soak up the grease, usually a paper towel, but I don't want to get up, so I'm using toilet paper. Not from the bathroom, okay, obviously. Cheers! Whoa, it's so good. Also, I have like a makeshift table in front of me and I'm sitting on the floor, and otherwise y'all would have been looking at a boring white background, and this way is much cuter, so hope it's actually cute. I can't really see because my DJI screen is like that small. Let me start with how I got baited to watch this show. This was around beginning of January. I just saw it everywhere. Everything that I saw was heated rivalry, heated rivalry, heated rivalry, heated rivalry. But I don't know what it is. When I was younger, I never understood when people would rewatch television shows, but I only rewatch shows that I've already seen. And I don't know why it's so much harder for me now as an adult to pick up something new when it comes to TV shows. And when something is hyper popular, it makes me even more skeptical because I just don't like being disappointed, and a lot of the times with things that are like huge, there's just more room to disappoint. What's trending now? Tell me lies. I haven't watched it. I didn't watch Euphoria. I didn't watch Challengers. I didn't watch White Lotus. And the one time that I feel like I got bullied into watching something was The Summer I Turned Pretty. At the time, I guess I did eat it up, but y'all, I had so much beef with that show. I'm sorry. Like, it's arguably one of the worst shows that I've seen. And I don't know if it's because I never watched the books, maybe if I was younger, but the dialogue a lot of the times, the plot bouncing between brothers. So that was a prime example of, a super popular show that ended up disappointing me. I was, again, skeptical of the craze that was going on about heated rivalry. I just realized this is probably gonna take forever to get through because 1, I already eat so slow. 2, my talking speed, not the fastest together. But here's to trying new things. So what got me to start tuning in was I saw that it was only 6 episodes. I already said it's really hard for me to start shows. If I see that it's 23 episodes, absolutely not. But 6 episodes and only like 40 minutes each is so doable. It's low commitment. Reason number 2 was that I saw that it had, I think at the time when I checked, it had 98% Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not like a TV or movie fanatic, but 98 is damn near high. So I was like, this has to be good. Those are the 2 things that convinced me to watch. So all I knew about this show was that it's a book to TV adaptation about 2 gay hockey players. So immediately I was like, oh, it's a smut book. And I know how big the smut book community is. I understood immediately why it would be so hype. However, I'm not really a smut girl. I can't say I've dabbled in a lot. Like, I know a lot of people are deep in the Wattpad and AO3 community. I'm sure I've missed out a lot because I've never been on either platforms. So like, yes, my knowledge is very limited, interested, and maybe the smut books that I've read just aren't the best. So honestly, give me your recommendations. But from the few that I have read, to me at the end of the day, they're just smut. And there's a reason why it's smut, right? Like that's the genre. The romance in the books aren't significant enough for me to look at it and be like, oh, that was a great love story. Its basis and foundation is because good sex, right? And at the end of the day, that's not as important to me because I need depth and I need substance. Again, was a little skeptical walking into this. I was like, okay, I usually know how smut books go for me, so like I can only imagine what a smut show is gonna do to me. So imagine my surprise when I start watching this smutty little gay hockey show and I'm given the grace to witness the most beautiful romance story of all freaking time. Fast forward for a second, when I finished this show, the first Reddit post that I pull up was somebody asking like, I've been seeing so much hype about this show, is it worth it? And the very first comment said, it's very well done. Be patient as it lays the foundation for the story it wants to tell and you will be rewarded. That is the most accurate way to describe this show. Because it honestly took me 4 episodes to like really warm up to it. I watched episodes 1 and 2 together and I was like very iffy, and had I stopped watching it, I probably would have been like, I don't understand the hype. And that tracks with how I feel about smut books because episodes 1 and 2 are the most explicit. But if you're gonna start this show, you have to finish it. It would be the biggest disservice to yourself and the show if you rate it without having watched the whole thing. Because truly, episodes 1 and 2 were the foundational work. It's like the tip of the freaking iceberg. Episode 4 to me was a turning point. Episode 5 single-handedly changed my life. One of the best pieces of art that I have ever witnessed in my entire life. I watched episodes 1, 2, 3 on a Monday night, finished episodes 4, 5, 6 Tuesday night, rewatched episodes 1 to 6 that same weekend, and in the span of 2 weeks, I've watched it 4 times. And that says a lot even for somebody who rewatches shows. And if that alone doesn't convince you to watch it, then girl, I tried. Okay, now I'm gonna get into it. So if you haven't watched it, like this video, come back to it later because there's obviously gonna be spoilers. I have to talk about the pacing of the show because I first watched episodes 1 and 2 and I was like, whoa, why are we going so fast? What do you mean 2 weeks later, 4 months later, next fall, next spring? Let's slow down here. But no, the pacing of the show was done so beautifully, and my favorite detail is how much the pacing slows as Shane and Ilya's romantic connection deepens. I love how much of Shane and Rose's conversation, their first conversation at the bar, I love how much we got to see because that was the first moment of the show where I realized this has slowed down pacing wise because I didn't expect for the show to show me that much of their conversation. I thought it was just gonna be like, yep, they meet, they start dating, cool, but no. Something about them just sitting in that booth talking. They didn't talk about much, but still, I just loved getting to see them in a very natural environment, getting to know each other, and I immediately knew like, oh, I liked Rose. And obviously Ilya's monologue in Russian, I timed it. It's over 3 minutes. And last but not least, I love that the last episode is entirely dedicated to the cottage. I can talk about the pacing of the show for days. It's just exquisite. I've been reaching over to my camera every now and then, so I hope I don't have Wingstop all over my sweater. One of the most interesting things to me about this show was how it made me feel. After my first watch, I had to like really take a moment and sit there and be in my feels because I was going through so many different emotions. And one of the biggest feelings was grief. One, I was grieving the fact that I just finished watching this for my first time. Like I will never experience me watching Heated Rivalry for the first time ever again. So I was grieving that loss. And it's also different because like the last show that I finished, Stranger Things, I grieved it because a good chunk of my transitional period of teenage to adulthood life was being a part of that show. And so I grieved that in a different sense versus I finished Heated Rivalry in 2 days. And so like tell me why I was grieving it. But yeah, that was grief 1. Grief 2 was thinking about the very real possibility that I may never experience a relationship like Shane and Ilya's. I have always been a hopeless romantic. I have always recognized that true love love is like really hard to come by. But like something about this show and seeing Shane and Ilya's relationship, I was out here like, I really may go my entire life and not know what Shane and Ilya experienced. But also at the same conflicting time, I felt hopeful that I would. You see what I mean? But it was like so many conflicting feelings. Like I was grieving the fact that, you know, I have never experienced something like this. I may never experience something like this, but like also hopeful that, you know, maybe one day I will. There were like two sides of me that were tug-of-warring with each other. And I saw a comment on TikTok that said, quote, "I may never have an Ilya, but while I watch this show, I have this Ilya." And I was like, girl, same. And ultimately, I was just left with this immense lingering feeling. I just could not stop thinking about it and asking myself, why did this show move me as much as it did? Also, even before I jumped online to like Reddit or TikTok or whatever, I was ready to defend the shit out of this show, because it's not rare for you to like a show and then you go online and you see that like a lot of the mass actually didn't like the show. And like when you see discourse online, you like start to realize why certain people may not have liked a certain show, and you're like, oh, okay, I see it. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing because I like the show so much, but like so many others didn't. So anticipating that something like that may happen, I was like, no, I actually really enjoyed the show and I actually don't really care what people say about it because this moved me in a certain way, and so like I'm gonna take what everybody says with a grain of salt. So imagine my surprise when I jump onto the internet and genuinely everything that I saw and have seen is overwhelmingly positive, and I don't think I've ever experienced that. Especially again with something that's this popular, there's just room for more discourse and room for more disappointment. And so like I just naturally assumed that there were gonna be like opposing forces. But no, I truly feel like I've only seen the most positive and loving and thought-provoking conversations. And I just think that's so beautiful, and I just feel validated. Not that I needed the validation again, but like I felt so validated in what I felt. And what does it say that the heated rivalry demographic is predominantly women? Is that a coincidence? I think not. Let's get into some of the discourse that I came across. I know a lot of people, a lot of women especially, love the even playing field in this show. It's two guys. Both of them are the top two best players in the league. They're both extremely successful. They're both the same height. They have the same build. They're respected in their industry, and there's no power play. And me, I fuck with that heavy because I hate power plays. I know like some people like that trope. Never been a fan, okay? So I do agree that I really love like the even playing field, but I know how much women who are watching this show really like that aspect about the show of like everything was equal, because you don't see a lot of that, or women don't feel that a lot of the time, where like they're on an equal and even playing field as the man. Y'all, I have a heated rivalry collection on my TikTok. Currently, I have 119 posts in this heated rivalry collection of mine. On my phone, I have an album. There's 116 things that I've posted to this. But anyway, for some of the things that I've screenshotted, I saw a psychologist say that the show has a lot of healing corrective behavior. We see a lot of things getting resolved. We see the characters being loved the way they want and need and deserve. We see consent. We see acceptance. It either hits a wound we the viewers may have, or it shows us there's hope for more and better things in the world. Ilya, for example, the way that throughout the show you see this man's walls slowly but surely break down over time, and he completely lets his guard down and fully lets Shane in. And same with Shane. Honestly, throughout the show, I've found myself relating to Shane a lot in terms of he's very, very particular about certain things. He's very anal when it comes to his profession, as in no to drinking, very strict diet, very regimented, and that would be exactly me if I was ever a professional athlete. I need things to be a certain way, and I would be very hard on myself if I ever like broke a rule essentially. And I saw a lot of myself in Shane, but throughout the show you see him eventually he'll have like a couple of beers or like lets go of that control, and he allows someone like Ilya into his life. And the dichotomy between the two is to me like so beautiful, but also to see them both like break down their walls in different ways, it's just, I love it so much. I'm a different person after this show. I'm so serious. No, because it literally changed my my brain chemistry. The overall feeling is like I'm in love. I'm inspired and optimistic. I want to connect with others and just be light. I'm so utterly consumed by it. I haven't felt this way in years. It means so much to me. It's the best romance I've ever seen. So much better than any hetero movie. I didn't know this level of love and emotion in film was possible. Girl, literally same. Sure, I have like favorite TV couples, but if I had to pick a favorite romance TV show or movie of all time, honestly, it'd be so hard to answer that. And now I know for the rest of my life until something tops this, which I highly doubt it ever will. Heated Rivalry is by far the easiest answer to like what's your best and favorite romance show or TV that you've ever seen. I have truly loved seeing the discourse from the queer community because as a straight woman, there are simply POVs that I don't have because I'm straight. Yes, I as a straight woman loved it, but I wonder how the queer community enjoyed it because at the end of the day, this show represents a lot of them. From what I've seen, to see that the show did the queer community justice, again, it's so beautiful. This show was so romantic and intimate, which is so different from how queer relationships are typically portrayed in film. Usually they aren't taken as seriously as hetero relationships are. They aren't handled with care, and it is that deep. The way the actors portrayed everything was phenomenal. It is the perfect show. Seeing them both have similar muscular builds and being the same height is so important to me, TBH. Like, bottoms are always made smaller and shorter, so I like that change to the height difference. I think this is why so many straight and bi women gravitate to the show because it shows a relationship that feels truly equal and reciprocal. This one. As a gay man, it's so refreshing to see a queer male love story through the female gaze. Love. Yeah, I can see how people might think we're crazy, but like it's really like if you know type situation with this. At the end of the day, my take with why I love this so much is at its core, it is a beautiful romance story. There were no gimmicks. There was no unnecessary drama. None of that, how could you do this to me? I trusted you. He broke my heart. Forgive me. No. It's just pure unconditional love, and it's a happy story. I also feel like I haven't watched a show where the ending didn't disappoint me in so long. I was honestly so surprised how Shane's mom reacted when Shane came out. I think it's because Shane's Asian and his mom, especially throughout the show, you see that she's very type A. Hey, you have to make sure you're wearing your Reebok. What's the next step? She's always like on top of Shane's game. And to me, that screams very like Asian. And so when Shane came out, I almost expected her to have the traditional reaction of like, what is this gonna do for your career? You're gonna jeopardize everything. This isn't who you are. I'm like, am I projecting? Like, is this Asian trauma? For anybody who's watched Pretty Little Liars, remember when Emily came out, her mom basically had like an existential crisis and like thought it was the end of the world and was all about like, oh Emily, this is just a phase. Maya has corrupted you and like this isn't who you are. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? That reaction, and especially because Heated Rivalry started in 2008 and like sure when they came out, what was it, 2016 maybe, around that, but even then coming out wasn't as common. A lot of gay people stayed closeted, and so I've completely anticipated Shane's mom to have that sort of like Pam Fields reaction. So when she didn't and she said, forgive me that I ever made you feel like I wasn't a safe enough space for you to come out, I was like, wait, this is so refreshing that his mom immediately reacted with like open arms, and I just thought that was so beautiful. Thinking about how we won't get a Heated Rivalry Connor Story Hudson Williams moment like this again for a long time. I haven't thought about celebs like this since One Direction, and I'm sure it won't happen again anytime soon. It feels like I need to log back into my Tumblr account. I need to repost Heated Rivalry gifs. I need to see their interviews. I need to make my friends watch this show. I literally feel like I'm in high school again. It's crazy. This show has truly unlocked the inner fangirl in me, and at my core, I'm a fangirl. You think I don't know ball? Girl, I know ball. What do you know about having a Twitter stan account for 5 Seconds in Summer back in 2014 to 2016 era? And I did have Luke, Callum, and the 5 Sauce Band account all follow me back. Back in the day, I was that girl. At my core, I'm a fangirl. When I like something, and I feel for it very deeply, but never in the parasocial way. Please don't be that girl who is parasocial. I need you to stay delusional in the comfort of your home. Please don't be delusional and weird and parasocial out there. Anyway, what do you mean you can watch a show like Heated Rivalry and then go about your day? That first week after I watched Heated Rivalry, I was quite literally changed chained to the show, as in like every passing thought was heated rivalry. Everything that I saw on my feed was heated rivalry. The soundtrack was the only thing that I was listening to. I would be like sitting in meetings, biting my inner cheeks because I'm like thinking about something from the show and like trying not to smile. Am I in a cult? Favorite things about the show: the cinematography ate down. We all know that. The music. This show made me remember why I used to love watching new shows. I would find songs that I would have otherwise probably never found. Currently on repeat, Bad Things by Kaylin Russo, My Moon, My Man, and I don't think I'm gonna pronounce it right. Love this song. I don't mean to bash The Summer I Turned Pretty again, but I fear I kind of have to in this example, because my biggest gripe with The Summer I Turned Pretty was honestly probably the soundtrack. I hated that every single song that they used was a hyper popular pop song. Can you be any more generic? And don't get me wrong, I love pop songs as much as the next girl, but when it comes to movies and TV shows, can we not? I really don't need to be hearing 10,000 different Taylor Swift songs in one show. We can storytell better, I'm sorry. The acting is actually insane, especially when you find out what Connor and Hudson are like IRL.
Where's the lovemaking? What about the caresses? Am I right, guys?
What about this back getting broken?
That's
what
what I'm
about some kitchen sex? Let's just bring some props in. Let me just...
I'm gonna touch on that a little bit later. The yearning. We love some good yearning. They yearn bad in this show. The fact that Shane fell first, but Ilya, I don't know guys, this man didn't fall. He like quite literally rolled down a cliff. How they wrote the women in this show, I loved Rose and Svetlana so much. And apparently in the book, because I haven't read the book, Svetlana is like non-existent. I cannot fathom a heated rivalry in which Svetlana barely exists. So I love Jacob for bringing her to life in a different way than the original source. Now for my favorite scenes. Number one scene that changed my life, the club scene. That altered my brain chemistry for sure. I didn't realize this my first or second watch, but when I watched this the third time with a group of friends, in the club scene when Ilya's at the bar waiting for his drinks, he sees Miles, Rose's friend, and Miles does like a little... And Ilya, he has like a two-part reaction. He slowly cocks his head, pauses, and then turns around. I didn't think anything of it, but when I watched it with the third time with a group of people, my friend was like, wait, why did he just react like that? And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, why did he just awkwardly slowly turn around twice? Or something like that. And I was like, probably because he's not interested in Miles, and also because Ilya's obviously not out, so he can't signal back to Miles even if he was interested. No, it's because Ilya knows who Miles is. Oh, I feel like I have a screenshot. I found it. I 100% think Ilya knew who Miles was, because you know he was reading every article about Rose and Shane online, and that's what made him seek Shane by looking around. So yes, he absolutely knew who Miles was, especially because there's a scene where Rose and Miles are at one of Shane's games, and this was in the media. So you think Ilya didn't see that Miles was the +1 with Rose when they were at Shane's game? No, this man absolutely knew. So that's why he reacted like that in the club, because he sees Miles. The first phase of his reaction is like, I know who you are. And then the second phase of his reaction is, wait, if you're here, that means Rose is here. And if Rose is here, that means Shane's here. That's why when he does his full turnaround the second time, he's scanning the room for Shane, and he sees Shane. I love when a TV show doesn't have to scream for your attention for the details. Like, you could easily miss it, but that's the beauty of it. I don't want you to yell at me. I want to find things out for myself subtly. And immediately it makes more sense because I caught this on my second time, but Shane has a similar reaction because before Shane sees Ilya, he sees Ilya's teammate Marlo. He's dancing with Rose and he sees Marlo. And then in his brain, he clocks like, okay, if Marlo's here, that means there's a chance that Ilya's here. And that's when he starts scanning the room for Ilya, and then he sees Ilya. So the fact that both of them had a very similar experience separately, yeah, that club scene does things to me. And then my second favorite scene, I think it has to be the hospital scene. I love it so much. Like the Ilya. And then Shane grabs Ilya's hand. He's like, better. And then Ilya goes, "You scared me." I love that scene so much. And then last but not least, my third favorite scene is when they're at the cottage. I don't know if it's right after Ilya says "I love you" for the first time. I think it is. They basically stay up to watch the sunset. I mean the sunrise. You see Ilya first, he's smoking a cigarette. And then you see Shane come up to him, wrap a blanket around him, and they're looking off into the distance. I just feel like that scene is so intimate. And the soundtrack that's playing, that song accompanied by that scene does it for me every single freaking time. Okay, honorable mentions. Oh, wait, I forgot. When Shane first comes out to Rose, Rose asks Shane, "Can I ask if you've ever been with another guy?" And Shane nods. Flashback to him and Ilya scene. And then Rose says, "Was it different?" Flashback to Shane and Ilya scene. I can't. Prior to the All-Star game, when Ilya's in the pool with kids, I love that scene so much. The freaking Vegas scene. Look at his eyes. He looks freaking drunk in love. Now for my favorite details. I've truly loved watching this show every single time because I catch new details that I didn't catch the first time. And again, like, I don't like to be screamed and told what the details are in the show. I like them to be discovered. And I think Jacob Tierney did like a beautiful thing with it. Whether these details have been confirmed by him and their team, I don't know. These are just the things that I've caught or the audience has caught and shared on like TikTok. But episode 5, the hospital scene, when Ilya first walks in, you catch a glance of Shane's heart rate on the monitor and it's like in the hundreds, and then you see it slowly start to come down, and by the time Ilya leaves the room, the heart rate monitor is at an 81, the number of Ilya's jersey number. Oh my god, I don't think I've seen a lot of people talk about this. Maybe it's because it's obvious to everybody else, but I didn't catch this the first time. Right before Scott calls Kip down, there's a scene where Kip's dad realizes what's going on. Scott is looking up at Kip, Kip is looking down at Scott, and then you see Kip's dad look at his son and then look at the rink and realizes this is the man that my son has been seeing. Because up until that point, his dad has no idea who Kip has been seeing. And in that moment, you see that look and it registers on his face. Love the detail. Episode 6 intro, when you see the Heated Rivalry logo, you hear a loon. If you know, you know. And then this one means so much to me. In the last episode, Shane and Ilya are sitting in front of a bonfire. And Ilya goes, "So we just sit here and look at it," talking about the bonfire and basically calling Shane boring yet again. And I think Shane says like, "Yes, we look at it," or something like that. But at the end of that scene, Shane asks if Ilya wants to go in. And Ilya's the one that says no. To me, I registered that is probably the most at peace Ilya has felt in an extremely long time. And my heart hurts and heals at the same time just thinking about it, because what do you mean he was able to relax probably for the first time in years and for once felt a little bit at peace and truly at home probably ever since his mother passed away. And like, I don't know, I just like love that scene. Like, what do you mean we're gonna sit here and look at a bonfire? Like, that's so boring. And then at the end of the night, Shane's like, "You want to go inside?" And Ilya's like, "No." And he's just like staring into the fire. My last, third and final surprise was Hudson and Connor are the complete opposites of the characters that they play. What is this witchcraft? Because what do you actually mean that Connor is nothing like Ilya and Hudson is nothing like Shane? That's how I found out that Connor's story is not even Russian, and he's like the most sensitive, sweet man.
Hudson, I'm doing the thing you taught me.
Oh, okay.
And then to my surprise, I see Hudson Williams is a feral, unhinged man.
Well, I'm jizzing and splizzing all over myself. I'm pretty sure I said.
I knew I was already obsessed with this show, but Connor and Hudson make it 1,000 times worse because, you know, like sometimes you watch a show, you really love the characters, but doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna love the actors, which is fine, right? They're actors for a reason, but like something about Connor and Hudson make me love the show and them even more. This may sound really cheesy, but I'm somebody who has always believed in fate. Whether it's with friends, whether it's with a romantic partner, whether it's certain things that happen in your life. I think fate is very, very rare, but like I recognize that it's real. And yes, this is from a complete outsider perspective, but when I see Connor and Hudson's dynamic, you cannot tell me that these two men were not destined to meet each other. I'm somebody who also like to think that I can read people very well. I don't know, I feel like it's the Virgo in me, but I trust my intuition, especially when it comes to like gauging people in the least parasocial way possible. But I know that this probably comes off parasocial, but like from what we see, Connor and Hudson seem like such genuine, authentic human beings, and I just feel like their off-screen chemistry is why their on-screen chemistry is so good. Do you ever see a show or a movie and you know that they're in a romantic relationship in the thing that you're seeing, but like they don't sell it? This is probably a really bad example, but like It Ends With Us, the Colleen Hoover book. When I watched the movie, it was so hard for me to connect with the characters on screen because I was not convinced at all. And now that everything with that movie has come out with Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, the off-screen chemistry was so bad that it affected the on-screen chemistry. I'm truly out here convinced that Shane and Ilya worked out because it was Connor and Hudson, and Connor and Hudson particularly because they just hit it off so well. The biggest thing to me is the shape of their lips. It's crazy that both of them have the same lip shape. I have never seen lip shapes like Connor and Hudson's. It's giving soulmates. So yeah, I totally understand that the hype that they're getting, because not only is it because of the show that they were on, but truly because of who they are as people from what we see. I'm telling you, I don't think I've ever watched a show or a movie and been like, I love it so much. Let me get to know the actors, and like I love the actors as equally as the characters, if not more. And that's not saying to like shit on everybody, but I don't know, there's just something so different. And there's like that star quality from Hudson and Connor. And I think it's because they're like also new to the industry. And I love that they have each other to lean on to support, because if only one of them were going through it, I'm just so glad they're in it together. And I really, really hope that the industry is kind to them. I really hope that people are kind to them. I need people to leave them alone, if I'm going to be completely honest. Y'all, my camera battery's at 7%. I really have to finish this. I'm actually so deeply in love with their friendship. It's so healing to see two men having no issue with loving their friend out loud and publicly. I hope they find one another in every universe and timeline. They're friends in the way most girls are friends, and that's really important to me. Hudson Williams, you have enchanted me with whatever the fuck is wrong with you. Literally, I'm out here thinking I need to date a Asian man. Okay guys, I'm at 2%. I'm sorry for the rush ending, but I hope you enjoyed this like little Wingstop mukbang and talk about heated rivalry with me. If you watched the show, if you read the books, let me know. I would like truly love to know your thoughts. So please tell me your favorite scenes, your favorite moments, your favorite song. Give it to me in the comments. I would love to chat. But thank you again for watching, and I will see you in my next vlog. Bye!